And we're live.
All right, thank you.
We are now, yes.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Senator Jim Dill, and I'm chair of the IFW committee, and I want to welcome everybody to our IFW committee meeting this morning. We have 3 work sessions that we need to go over, and then we'll have a briefing on Land for Maine's future. And so just briefly on work session, since this is our first work session, it is like in our other meetings, an electronic meeting, and so there's liable to be glitches, and just like a regular meeting, people may be in and out because they have other meetings they have to attend. Remember to unmute yourself when you're ready to speak, and otherwise please keep yourself muted in between, because we can sometimes hear background music. And when Representative Landry gets here, the 2 of us have to unfortunately be the background police and make sure everything is okay, and may at times ask you to reposition yourself if there's something distracting or unusual in the background that we feel probably shouldn't be there. And the way it goes, this is a work session. It's not a public hearing. So the only ones that basically get to speak is committee members as we discuss the bill, or to an individual who we may ask to come up and comment on the bill, or we want to ask some questions of that individual. After we get done with that, we will ask for motion, and the motion may be one of several, of course, anywhere from tabling to pass to what not to pass, or whatever it may be. We have to be on camera to vote. And if you aren't here for vote, you have to leave or something. The only way you can vote is then to go ahead and contact either the President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House and register your vote with them, and they will then make sure that the clerk records it. And when we're done with the vote, the chair will announce the vote, and then we'll go on from there. And so with that, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves, and I will start with Representative Danny Martin this morning.
Good morning, folks. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Danny Martin. I represent House 150, located in northern Worcester County.
Senator Black.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Black, representing Senate District 17, which is all of Franklin County and 4 towns in Kennebec County.
Representative Mason.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Rick Mason, District 56 for the great people of Lisbon.
Representative Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am Tim Terrio. I represent District 79, which is Albion, most of Benton, China, and Unity Plantation.
Representative Lyford.
Thank you, Senator. Peter Lyford, District 129, which is Clifton, Eddington, Holden, Northborough, and
Representative Neto.
Good morning, Kathy Neto, representing District 78, which is all of Winslow and a small portion of Benton.
House Chair Landry.
Good morning, Representative Scott Landry. I live in Farmington and represent District 113, the towns of Farmington and New Sharon.
All right, thank you. So, and I'm Jim Dill. I'm represent Senate District number 5, Northern Penobscot County. And as I mentioned, we have 3 work sessions today, and we'll move right into the, sorry, I forgot to introduce the clerk, Linda LaCroix, who will try to keep us all in line here and let people in and out as we need. And our analyst is Rachel Olson, who will be presenting each of the bills to us so that we can discuss them and vote on them accordingly today. So with that, I will open the work session on LB 10, an act to allow resident hunters to harvest 2 bears per bear hunting season. And with that, I'll turn it over to Rachel.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. You should have received the bill analyses for all 3 bills that we're working today through your email, but they are also located on the committee materials webpage. And so just for this first one, I'm going to walk us through getting there. You should be able to see my screen at this time on the Maine Legislature's page for inland fisheries and wildlife. Under committee materials here, you'll be able to click on that and find a list of committee materials. Just before we get started, I'll note that our presentation later today for the Land for Maine's Future is under orientation materials, also emailed to you. And then committee meeting materials by LD. Okay. And we're going to start with LD 10. And you'll be able to find the bill analyses here. There's also a link to testimony when it's available. And if there were any additional documents that needed to be posted separately, they would be there. But I'll also note that many materials are linked at the bottom of all the bill analyses to make it more easily accessible. Okay. Was that large enough for everyone to see?
Yeah, it's fine for me.
Great. We're going to start with LD 10, which is an act to allow resident hunters to harvest 2 bears per bear hunting season. This bill allows bear hunters who are residents of the state to take 3 bears per bear hunting season, 2 by hunting and 1 by trapping, and non-residents to take 2 bears per hunting season, 1 by hunting and 1 by trapping. I did list the testimony here, the individuals who gave testimony for all sides or neither for and against. But as you'll probably remember, even the arguments that were given in defense or in opposition didn't necessarily align as clearly between proponents and opponents. The general takeaway for many of these is that they support the goal or the idea, but really wanted the committee to focus its attention on LD 142. And so you'll see that in both proponents, opponents, and also the neither for nor against. And all that testimony is available online. There are no technical issues identified or potential issues. I will note that the sponsor did indicate that this is a bill from last session that was worked on, but died as a result of the session ending abruptly. The version that was developed as a part of that work that took place last session is being or has been brought forward by Representative Martin in the form of LD 142. The committee requested numbers related to women involved in bear hunting, and those were provided by the department. They were emailed out, and I've also linked them as a PDF file here under links. And there is the fiscal status has not yet been determined on this. There is no preliminary fiscal note at this time. And with that, I'll stop screen sharing if that's okay.
Yep, please.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions for Rachel? Seeing none. Commissioner Camuso, are you here to speak to this or answer questions on this, or should we let Nate in or some? Yes, Nate?
Yeah, Senator, thank you much. I would ask that Nate would be allowed in.
Okay. So Linda, could you let Nate in, please? And I see that Representative Danny Martin has a question. Is it for the commissioner or for Nate or something else?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I don't have a question at this time. But if you're ready to entertain a motion after Nate's presentation, I'd be pleased to do so.
Okay. Will do. I just want to see if Nate has anything. Good morning, Nate. Thanks for being here. Is there anything you'd like to add on this bill that, from where the status we're in right now? I realize we have 142 behind this to work. But if there's anything you'd like to say here, we'd be willing to hear it.
Sure. Yeah. Good morning. Thanks for having me. No, I think our testimony covered our perspective pretty well. We do support the overall goal of this bill, and that it would seek to increase bear harvest, which is important to meet our bear management goals. However, LD 142 includes a more comprehensive suite of legislative changes that we feel would better meet the department's goals to increase participation and increase the overall bear harvest.
So then your suggestion would be that perhaps this should be rolled into 142, or this one just to go ought not to pass, and then we just concentrate on LD 142?
Yes, I think concentrating on LD 142 would be our preference.
Okay. Are there any questions? Representative Martin, Danny.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. If there are no questions in regards to LD 10, I would move ought not to pass on LD 10.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It was seconded by Representative Terrio. Any discussion on this particular bill? Seeing none, Linda, would you call the roll, please?
I will, starting with Representative Lyford,
You're muted, Representative Lyford.
Yes, I'll support the motion.
Representative Mason,
Yes.
Representative Hapler,
Yes.
Senator Black,
Yes.
Senator Dill,
Yes.
Representative Landry,
Yes.
Representative Terrio,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
and Representative Nadeau.
Yes.
And I believe that is all the committee that is present at the moment. So that's unanimous, 9 in favor of ought not to pass.
All right, so on LD 10, it's unanimous of those present and voting of ought not to pass. So with that, I will close the hearing on this. And, if folks that aren't here want to vote, again, remember you have to vote through your presiding officers. So this one is closed, and we will now open the work session on LD 142. So Rachel, if you would be so
Yes.
kind again.
Okay. All right. Sorry, reshuffling a few things. There we go. Everyone can see the screen? Great. Okay, LD 142, an act to give Commissioner of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife rulemaking authority to establish a bear season framework and bag limits. This bill does a number of things outlined here. So number one, it requires the Commissioner of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife to establish by rule an open season on hunting bear beginning no earlier than the second Monday preceding September 1st and ending no later than November 30th annually. 2, it clarifies that the commissioner may adopt rules to set the dates when dogs may be used to hunt black bear during any portion of the open bear hunting season. 3, it provides that a person may not set bear bait earlier than 30 days before the first Monday preceding September 1st. 4, it reduces the fee for a resident bear permit from $27 to $10. 5, it requires the commissioner to adopt rules governing the number of bears that may be hunted and trapped in a season, which may not be more than 1 by trapping or 2 in total. 6, it establishes a daily bag limit of 1 bear by hunting. 7, it provides that beginning January 1st, 2022, to obtain a bear trapping permit, a person must either have successfully completed a bear trapping education course or have previously held a valid Maine bear trapping permit in any year prior to 2022. 8, it provides that a resident may hunt bear without a valid permit during the open firearm season on deer. 9, it allows a person who holds a license authorizing hunting big game to obtain a bear trapping permit. And 10, it provides that a bear hunting permit is required for each bear when the bag limit on bear is more than one. There wasn't, I did not summarize the testimony here, but there were a number of people in favor and against. There are no technical issues identified in the bill as it is currently written. Information requests, we were asked about the percentage of hunters versus trappers for bear hunting. Again, that information was provided by the department. And that, so it was sent out as an email. I've copied that information over here as well, so that you can see they do talk about kind of total numbers and the division between them. And then the department also provided copies, which are on their website, of the research and management report, especially indicating the section on game management that focuses on bear. Again, those are linked at the bottom of this bill analysis. There were questions related to information that you can find detailed in those reports as well. David Trahan from the Sportsman Alliance of Maine suggested an amendment that if the committee came to a unanimous agreement, that you may consider adding an emergency preamble so that the rulemaking process could get started right away. During the public hearing, it was mentioned that this bill, which was comes about as work that was done last session, is a very similar, almost exactly the same form as LD 1118 Committee Amendment A that was worked last session. So while there's no fiscal note as of yet, I did include the fiscal note from the committee amendment last session as reference. So that's not the fiscal note for this bill, but it is for reference as they are very similar. LD 142 does have some repealed language, which I have included here for your reference. And then there are a number of materials here at the bottom. So again, for your reference, the original LD 1118 from last session and its amended version, as well as the fiscal note. And links to all of the current statutes that are referenced in the bill. Happy to take, there's certainly more information I can provide for you at this point, so I'm happy to take any questions that you may have at this time.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for Rachel at this moment? Seeing none, again, thank you. Is Nate Webb still with us, or?
No, Senator, I can bring him back in though. One moment, please. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but Representative Alley has joined us.
Okay.
I'm bringing Nate back in.
Good morning again. Nate, would you introduce yourself, please?
Good morning. I'm Nate Webb. I'm the Wildlife Division Director for the department.
Again, thanks for being here this morning. We are now working, our work session is on LD 142, and I will open it up. First off, I'll ask you if you wanted to make a statement about 142, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Sure, thank you. I think as was mentioned, this bill is really an outcome of the previous legislative session. There was quite a bit of work done by the committee as well as by our department and some interested stakeholder groups to develop the language that's in this bill. We do feel that it's a very important step forward in our ability to effectively manage the bear population, and we're supportive of all the changes that are indicated in the bill. I would mention that we feel strongly that a January 1st, 2022 implementation date is very important. We will need time to undertake rulemaking to move some of these changes forward, and it would be very challenging for us to do that this calendar year given the start date for bear hunting seasons in August. So we do feel that the current effective date indicated in the bill of January 1st, 2022 is very important.
Okay. Thank you. Other questions? Representative Lightfoot.
Thank you, Senator Dill. Nate, several questions for you. Number two, comments on the dogs. Could you explain that a little bit?
Certainly, thank you. So the department for many years has set the time period within the broader bear hunting season framework when both the use of bait and the use of dogs are allowed. Those two hunting methods have the potential to result in some conflicts between hunters due to the methods that are used. And so we've addressed those concerns through rulemaking. The language in this bill would just clarify that the department does have the authority to make those adjustments through rule for hunting with dogs. And that's something that was added to the bill to make it explicit that we could take that step in the rulemaking process.
Thank you. And the number four, the fee. Now, the fee is going down from 27 to 10 for the third bear because the hunting license gives you one, the trapping license gives you one.
Sort of. So the fee for residents currently that are purchasing a bear permit is $27. The bear permit for residents is required for the bear season, except for the firearm season on deer. So in other words, if a resident is hunting bear in late August or September or into October up until the firearm season on deer starts, they would require a bear permit. And this bill would reduce the fee for that permit for residents from 27 to 10. We're recommending that change in part to help increase permit sales and increase participation in bear hunting by residents. That fee was increased, I believe, in the mid 2000s, and we did see a pretty substantial decline in permit sales and participation by resident hunters at that time as a result of that fee increase.
And the final question I had was the trapping permits. There was 500, reported 538. That was reported through the permit process, right?
Correct, correct. There is a separate permit required for bear trapping as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Danny Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to Sam's, Mr. Trahan's suggestion that an emergency clause preamble be added to this bill, Nate, any comments on that administratively? Are you okay with that, or would you have a concern with it?
No, we would have a concern. I definitely appreciate the intent. We are, looking to make some of these changes if this bill is enacted in rule as quickly as we can. But the reality is the rulemaking process does take a while. We need to incorporate those changes into our hunting and trapping law books, and those changes would need to be communicated to the hunting community as well. And all that does take some time.
Yeah, thank you. I thought that's what you said, Mr. Chair. I note that the sponsor of the bill, Representative Martin from Eagle Lake, has joined us.
Yes, Representative Martin. Good morning. Did you introduce yourself earlier? Would you unmute yourself, please?
How about now?
I can hear you. Yes. Would you introduce yourself?
Okay, John Martin, House District 151, northwestern Aroostook County, from Allagash to Fort Kent down to Oxbow.
Thank you. And Representative Alley, would you introduce yourself? But it appeared that he may be in a vehicle, so we'll come back to him. Let's see, Representative Mason, question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nate, has there been any consideration into lengthening the bait season instead of adding the second bear to promote a bigger harvest maybe during that season?
There has been discussion about lengthening the bait season. Part of the challenge around that discussion, though, is currently, in order to lengthen the bait season, we would have to add to the bait season further into September or into October. There's a few challenges with that potentially. One of those is the risk of increased conflicts with hunters using dogs, which we've heard some concerns about. The other is that, particularly in northern Maine, it's not uncommon for bears to actually enter their fall dens in mid to late September. So in some years, it would be, in fact, very challenging to hunt bears using bait later in the season because many of the bears have entered their den by that point. The change that this bill would make, though, is it would allow the department through rule to add a week to the season at the front end in August. And again, that would happen through the rulemaking process. We would take public comment and have a public hearing on any proposal to do that. So that is something that was a recommendation from the big game management planning process a few years ago.
And I have another one. I know in one of my recent bear den visits, I think a couple, 3 years ago, Randy had mentioned that the bear population in the southern part of the state is increasing pretty rapidly. Would it be worth looking at possibly extending the bait season in the southern part of the state to help that bear kill rather than adding a second bear?
I think that could help. I think that's something we would likely talk about in the rulemaking process if this bill were to pass.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Representative Lightfoot, I see your hand again.
Thank you, Senator. Nate, beekeepers, big conflict with beekeeping in this state. Is a permit required for beekeepers to dispose of a nuisance bear?
So that's a great question. There actually is in a separate location in statute language that authorizes landowners that are experiencing property damage to take action against that offending animal in most cases. And so that ability is outside of the regular hunting season framework. So this bill, it is really focused on the hunting season and the tools that we use to manage the population at a broader level, the statewide or wildlife management district level. There are additional tools available to landowners that are experiencing site-specific conflicts with bears, and the department is also always available to help in those situations as well, and make recommendations and help the landowner who's experiencing those problems.
And I would speak to, they have been very helpful, and I just want to make sure there wasn't anything in this bill. But thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question for you. The bill that we just defeated, which was to allow 2 bears to be, I believe, harvested during the hunting season. The 142 does not allow that. Is that correct? You can have 2 bears, but 1 by hunting and 1 by trapping, but you can't shoot 2.
Correct. So this bill would allow through rule the department to establish a bag limit not to exceed 2 bears in total and no more than 1 by trapping. So in other words, a hunter could take, depending on the language and the rule, up to 2 bears by hunting, or 1 bear by hunting and 1 bear by trapping. And that component was quite important to some of the stakeholders that were involved in the discussions around LD 1118 last session.
Okay, so I just want to be clear what you just said. So if I'm hunting, I can kill 2 bear hunting. Is that correct?
Correct. This bill would allow for that
right.
If that were established in rule.
Okay.
Right.
Very good. I just wanted to make sure that was there. Representative Terrio. You're muted, sir.
Thank you, Senator Dill. But no more than 1 a day. You can shoot 2 bears, but you can only harvest 1 a day with a rifle, I believe. Isn't that correct, Nate?
Correct. That is how the bill is worded.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there other questions for Nate? Seeing none. I'm ready to, oops, Tim, do you have another question? I see your hand up. You ready to make a motion?
I am ready to make a motion.
Okay, go for it.
I make a motion, we pass LD 142 as written.
Okay, I have a motion to pass on LD 142. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It was seconded by First Star Representative Danny Martin. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Rachel.
Sorry, I'd just like to note, this will have a fiscal note, so it's going to have to be ought to pass as amended.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Tim? I guess it will have to be, so.
Ought to pass as amended is what I'm gonna say.
All right, thank you. And same with you, Representative Martin. You're okay with that second? And he says yes. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Ought to pass as amended. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none. Rachel, would you call the roll, please?
I will, though. Starting again, if you don't mind, with Representative Lyford,
Yes.
Representative Mason,
Yes.
Representative Hepler,
Yes.
Senator Black,
Yes.
Senator Dill,
Yes.
Representative Landry. You're muted, sir.
Yes.
Representative Terrio,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Representative Ali, if he's available. I'm not sure where he is, so we'll hold off on that. Representative Nadeau
Yes.
and Representative John Martin.
Yes.
Okay, so we have 2, 4, 6, 8. We have 10 in favor of ought to pass as amended.
So 10 ought to pass as amended. Of those present, it's unanimous. So again, folks that weren't here to vote, you can do that again through the presiding officers. Representative Martin, do you have anything you'd like to say here?
Just, nothing, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Just a procedural observation or question in regards to Rachel's comment. There are a lot of pieces of legislation, as we all know, that once we vote on them, do not have a fiscal note. And at times that takes time. In all my years, this is the first that I've seen where, because there was no fiscal note, we had to amend the bill. Just wondering if we could look into that, if that's correct procedure.
I
Yes.
can look into, yep.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, sure, I can look into that. So, and this came up in discussions earlier this year in the office. So my direction was, if it's going to have a fiscal note attached, which this one will, that the procedural vote just has to be OTPA because the fiscal note is considered an amendment. And I'll bring that back. And of course, if it was something the committee, the fiscal note really changed your opinion on, there would be an option to revote per the committee's decision. But generally, it's just a procedural function, but I can certainly follow up and send you a more detailed response to that.
I appreciate that. I would agree with Representative Martin. I don't remember doing it that way in the past, that we would have passed it as amended because we have no idea if it's a fiscal note or not. So therefore, going along with what was just said, we'd have to pass every bill as amended because the assumption would be that at some point there might be a fiscal note on it. So I don't understand why we do it that way. Or if it is, it's new this year, and I think it needs to be addressed.
Sure. I will follow up on that for you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, Representative Ali, are you available to introduce yourself? Okay, if not, I'm going to turn it over to Representative Landry to run the work session for the final bill, which is LD 280. So with that, Representative Landry.
Thank you, Senator Dill. We're going to start the work session on LD 280, an act to increase funding for snowmobile trails and capital equipment grants. Rachel, do you have some analysis for us?
Okay. LD 280, an act to increase funding for snowmobile trails and capital equipment grants. So this bill changes the resident and non-resident registration fees for snowmobiles and uses the increased fees to help fund the snowmobile trail fund and the fund responsible for capital equipment grants. So the fee for resident snowmobile registrations is increased by $10. The fee for non-resident snowmobile registrations fees, are increased by $20. $5 from the increase of both resident and non-resident fees go towards a special fund administered by the Off-Road Vehicle Division of the Bureau of Parks and Lands within the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry. And the other $5 from the resident fee increase and the other $15 from the non-resident fee increases goes towards the Snowmobile Trail Fund. There were no testimony given in opposition. I've listed those who provided testimony, both for and neither for nor against. No issues identified with this. There was a question during the work session. If I know last session there were a number of bills related to snowmobile and probably also ATV registration and fees. Was not sure if any of those were returning this session, and they'll look at the pre-cloture legislator and department agency bills. There doesn't appear to be any other bills this session addressing snowmobile registration fees specifically this session. And at this time, there has a fiscal status has not been determined, so there's no preliminary fiscal note at this time. And I will mention a lot of the testimony. The economic contribution of snowmobiling in Maine, which is a report that was done by the University of Maine, was mentioned. So I've included the report here as well, talking about the economic impact that snowmobiling has on Maine's economy. And with that, I'll stop sharing.
Very good. Thank you very much, Rachel. Any questions on this for Rachel? Any discussion?
Representative Landry, I believe Joe Higgins from the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry is here.
Is he? Okay. I don't see that.
I asked that he be let in, so he may want to comment on this, and he may ask him questions if anybody has any.
Mr. Higgins, you're muted.
It might take him a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Higgins?
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm trying to get my camera here.
Okay.
There we
There
go.
you are.
Good morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So my name is Joe Higgins. I am the supervisor for the State of Maine Snowmobile Program at the Bureau of Parks and Lands.
Yes.
I have a question. I just, if I may, Representative Landry?
Yes, certainly.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Higgins. Thanks for being here. Would you kind of comment again very briefly on this? I know I think it was $10 for residents and $20 for non-residents. And I believe someplace in here it tells us approximately what that will generate. And you can probably tell us, you probably have it right there. But I think my question for you is, as we were discussing this during our, at least testimony during the public hearing, there was a question as to should the non-resident fee be increased by more than $20? And I just wanted to hear what your thoughts were on that. And I think my question really is do you have at your fingertips broken down that $10 on residents will generate X amount of dollars, but the $20 on non-residents would generate Y amount of dollars, and therefore if we decided to up, say doubled, the non-resident, what that would do. So I don't know if you have those figures at your fingertips or not.
Yeah, I do. So I'll probably go over the increased revenue first for you and then answer your second question.
Thank you.
I did figure out on a 10-year average. Obviously, it depends on registrations and what it would mean for revenue to the program. On a residence average of 57,648 registrations of snowmobiles. A $10 increase would come to $576,480, with half of that going to the capital equipment grant program and the other half going to the trail fund. Then on the non-resident side, the 10-year average is 20,439 snowmobile registered. And the $20 increase would be equivalent to $408,780. Those two combined, obviously, $985,260. And that is if snowmobile registrations obviously stay with that 10-year average. With half of that going to the capital equipment grant program, and approximately half of it going to the trail fund. Right now on the trail fund side of things, we have a shortfall as of last year, $2.36 million. That would come from what the clubs are reporting for expenses and what we are administrating for dollars back to help offset some of those expenses to the clubs. And the same thing with the capital equipment grant. The purchases on that last year was $2.3 million, and the program contributed $413,000 towards those purchases by clubs out there updating and replacing equipment. So about a 17.6% contribution to that. So that kind of gives you in a nutshell answer that one, I think. Is there any questions on that part of it?
It's good for me, thanks.
Okay. Then,
yeah, there was a second half to that. I think I asked if what his opinion was about increasing the non-resident fee by more than $20.
Yeah, I think that the Maine Snowmobile Association, and I can't speak for them obviously, but just talking with the members and some of the officers, that they did some research checking on what some of the other New England states have for and what it costs to maybe ride in those different states, and wanted to still give a nice product here in Maine, which we do, but also be within a cost to them riders, I think is what it was. So I did a little bit of research on what the other states have for registration programs. For an example, New Hampshire, a resident that belongs to a club is $99 to register the snowmobile. A non-club member is $129. And then a non-resident registering their snowmobile in New Hampshire and belongs to a club is $119, but if they don't belong to a club, it's $149. And then Vermont does theirs a little differently. You actually have to buy a trail pass in Vermont. So for a resident, it would be $185 for a trail pass and $225 for a non-resident. So each state has their own way of the way they operate their revenue for the snowmobile program. And I think that the numbers that the Maine Snowmobile Association put together for increase in registrations is the thought process was being kind of in line, but not overpricing what it would cost here in the state of Maine to register your snowmobile.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. I believe Representative Neto was first in line with a question.
Thank you. Probably a two-part question. I want to know exactly what the special fund for the off-road vehicle division, what is that part of the capital equipment? So the $5 would go to the special fund administrated by the off-road vehicle division. Is that the capital fund?
So yeah, on the resident side, the increase of $10, $5 of that would go into the trail fund, which is a grant program to the clubs to help offset. The other $5 would go to the capital equipment grant program, which helps clubs purchase equipment.
Okay, thank you. And the other part of my question was, currently we pay $45 for an in-state resident registration fee, so it would go up to $55, correct?
That's correct.
And the out of state is currently 79, so it would go up to 99.
Okay, so the increases would over the whole program would look like residents would go from 45 to 55. Non-residents would go from 99 to 119.
119, okay.
And then we also have a 3-day pass available for somebody that's just coming for the weekend, maybe 1 week in a year, or if they can come multiple times. That is $49, and it would increase that fee to $69. Then there's also a 10-day pass that non-residents can get if they're coming here for a long period of time. That one would go from $75 to $95 as written.
So we're still well below what New Hampshire charges in Vermont, even with increases.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Representative Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And
Mr. Higgins, why couldn't we, Representative Terrio was speaking on this, where he pays, I think he said $400 to go into Canada, snowmobiling. Why can't we mirror what the other states and Canada's doing? If Canada's charging us $400 to go up there, why can't we have just put it right back at them? So you're charging $400, so we're going to charge $400. Or like New Hampshire, match that out-of-state fee. Do it make any sense?
So are you asking folks from Canada that come here to ride charge the same as what they're charging
Right,
US residents to go there?
right.
Yeah, that's probably, how would you track that, I guess, would probably be that, not,
Well, I don't know. Tip,
Out of my
Representative
expertise.
Terrio probably has more experience in going up there, but I imagine you have records on who's coming here. When you go to purchase that permit, that registration, you've got to put on there where you're from. So then just mirror the same charge they're charging us. It's just a thought, but
yeah.
I'm not for raising taxes or fees or anything like that, but I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander, in my opinion. So, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Representative Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, going along with what I said the other day, I am firmly in favor of having non-residents, and he actually answered my question, which would be almost right in the middle between what New Hampshire and Vermont are charging. At $200, it's still less than what Vermont charges, a little more than New Hampshire, but it's in the ballpark. It's not out of the way. So if we charged out-of-staters $200 for their registration, it certainly is not exorbitant amount. And the question I have is, how many miles of trails does New Hampshire have, and how many miles of trails does Vermont have compared to our 14,000 miles that we have? We have a tremendous amount of product that we have to maintain that they all want to come and enjoy. So it does take more money to take care of that kind of trail system. So I got to tell you, what we have is a fabulous product, and don't cut ourselves short. We really, really got to look at this, and they can afford it. They absolutely can afford it. If they can afford their second homes and all this other, they can afford $100 more for registering a snowmobile, and I firmly believe that.
Thank you, Representative Terrio. We going to answer that, Mr. Higgins? Or?
I was just going to answer your question on how many miles that the state of Maine offers in comparison to maybe some of the other New England states. And the state of Maine is offering approximately around 14,000 miles of trails. And those are all on the backs of volunteers out there working on that, put in literally tens of thousands of hours on the trail systems to make them what they are today. This state of New Hampshire is approximately somewhere around 7,000 miles of trails. And then Vermont's last numbers were about 5,000 miles. And I think that, like with anything, we want people to come here and ride. We give them a great product. I totally agree. At the same time, like anything, you want to, and again, they may come back at some point, and the increase is there to get to that where we want to be. But again, be careful on maybe increasing it that people don't come here and would go to Canada instead. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question, but we offer a great product here for sure.
Thank you. Representative Danny Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, pursuant to our committee rules, the sponsor of any bill is pretty much limited to what he can ask or discuss. However, the chair can suspend that and authorize the sponsor to ask a question or make a comment. And with that, that's the case. Do I have your authorization?
You certainly do.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just an observation in regards to further increasing the non-resident fees. As I mentioned in my testimony, I'm certainly not opposed to that. It might be a great idea. But before we do that, I'd like to hear from the department as to whether further increasing the fees would have a financial impact. And also, I'd like to note, Joe, thank you for your testimony. I noticed that you testified neither for nor against the bill. However, when I read your two-page summary testimony, it's pretty supportive and make very good arguments about the legislation. On another matter, Mr. Chair, for those of you that were present during the last session, we had an extensive discussion on ATV registrations, if you all recall, including a fee increase and including a weight and size limit. And if you recall, during not a special session, but a committee session, I believe in August that was held, we voted unanimously to support that. And because we adjourned earlier, that piece of legislation died. Just wondering if there's any interest in the committee to combine those bills, or if you want to do them separately, individually. And I have no comment as to which way we should go, but we ought to give consideration to ATVs and see if we can revive that piece of legislation and move forward as well. It's really important that ATV and registration fees are pretty much co-equal. But with that in mind, thank you for listening, folks.
Thank you for your input. Representative Lyford, I see that you had a question.
Thank you, Representative Landry. I'm in agreement with Tim and Mason about increasing these non-residence fees. Absolutely. I mean, it's $100 a day to go up to Sugarloaf to ski, one day. And here you're giving 3 or 4 months worth of snowmobiling. I think we need to charge for the product. Is there going to be some fallout? Of course there's going to be some fallout, but maybe there'll be a few vacancies up north so the residents can get a room, because you can't now. And that's a great idea that Representative Martin had. I think we ought to do one bill at a time. That's all I had for thoughts. Thank you.
Representative Terrio.
Yeah, thank you. It was asked that we not combine the two bills as far as ATVs and snowmobiles. And I was asked by the department to bring that ATV bill back, and I don't know where that's at. I told them I would. So hopefully that they are going to have that back so that we can finish the work that we did on that last year, because we did a tremendous amount of work on that, and I'd hate to lose that, but I want to do it separately.
Thank you. Joe, is there any discussion that you know of in regards to bringing the ATV bill back?
Brian Bronson, who's the supervisor for the ATV program, has consistently been working on that but I couldn't tell you exactly where it is at, but I think the discussions are still going on.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? And where do we want to go from here? Are there any motions? Representative Rachel?
Sorry, I just thought I would speak. again, to possibly where the ATV bills are. Again, I don't know to the one you're specifically referring, but there are 3 on that pre-cloture list that I referenced earlier. There are 3 about ATVs by title. One is to clarify all-terrain vehicle registration requirements and to establish regular maintenance. And the other is to support all-terrain vehicle trail improvement. And then there's one about a dual registration sticker or dual registration for snowmobiles and ATVs. So those are specifically about ATVs. I don't know if they are related to the ones you worked last session or not. I only know their titles, and they're only on that pre-closure list, but I thought I would share that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I also have numbers about registrations for snowmobiles in the Canadian provinces as well, if people were interested.
Very good. Thank you. If you could provide those at some point. Representative Terrio.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion not to pass, but I would like to amend it for the non-residents to pay $200 for their registration and everything else in the bill the same.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Representative Mason. Any discussion on?
Yes, I have a quick thought at least, and it's nothing major here, but it's more like a psychological thing, and I'm wondering if rather than 200, do we make it 199? It's just like when you go into a store to buy something, you know, that it's $14.99 or 95 cents, just because all of a sudden you hit $200 and it's like, oh my gosh, it's $200. But 199 is not going to make a heck of a lot of difference in our pocketbook for what we're going to do, but psychologically it might have a big impact. I would just throw that out there.
Sounds good.
I agree with that.
Yep.
You would agree with that?
Yes, I would.
Mason. Representative Danny Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be supporting the motion, but as I requested earlier, it'd be great to ask some advice from the department as to whether an increase of $199 or further increase would have a financial impact on the department.
Yeah, it's gonna increase their money.
Mr. Higgins.
It's a good question. And I mean, the financial impact, obviously the funding, those tools and rules and guidelines are already in place. It would basically increase those dollars going into the already existing programs, which is what I think the intent of the bill is for. As far as the workload, is that what the question basically is for our department, our program?
The question, if I may, Mr. Chair, the question was to IFW. I realize that with ACF, you'd have a positive financial impact, but my question was as to whether a considerable increase would have an impact to the Department of IFW. I'm not sure if they're still on,
but I don't see them here. Is there anyone from the department here, Linda?
James Conley is taking the commissioner's place. She had to leave early, so he is on. He just needs to.
You've got a couple of hands up. You've got Bill Swan and you've got John Monk out in the attendees list, and I'm not sure which is the better one to address that.
I would need to bring them both into the meeting to answer the questions, or
yeah, I realize that.
Okay.
I realize that. I just don't know which one of them, so you may as well bring them both in, and we can find that out.
Bill Swan could answer that.
Okay. And you also got Dan Scott out there too.
Who are we going with?
Danny Martin, sorry to interrupt, but Danny, was the one specifically you thought, would it be Bill that could answer that, Mr. Swan?
I think Bill Swan could appropriately answer that, yes.
Okay. Good morning, Bill. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes, this is Bill Swan, Director of Licensing and Registration here at IFW.
Welcome.
Hello. So would you like me to take a shot at that question?
Please.
Okay, so here's what the committee should think about. The question would be, I think, do we believe that, I think we had an average of about, was it 20,000, Joe, 20,000 non-residents?
That's correct, yes.
Correct. So the question really is, do we believe that the average number of non-residents would stay at 20,000? Or do we think, if we increase the fee, or do we think that that might go down to, pick a number, 18,000? Okay. That's the real question on the table. Because the way the bill is currently structured, the amount per registration that IFW would be getting would be staying the same, okay? So therefore, if there were fewer registrations, there would be slightly less money going to IFW as a result, okay? So that's the real question on the table. It's anybody's guess, but I think it would be reasonable to assume there would be some non-residents that would choose to go somewhere else. Would it be significant? Probably not, but I think there would be some.
Does that answer your question, Representative Martin? You're muted.
Apologize. No, it does answer the question. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Lyford.
Thank you, Representative Landry. My question, Bill, is even though there's a reduction, the increase in fee would cover it. If you lost 1,000 or two, wouldn't it not?
The way the bill is currently structured, all of the increase in fee goes to the two different funds that are managed by ACF, okay? And Joe, here's another thing to think about. Even at ACF, some of the snowmobile registration funds, I believe, go to other portions of your agency rather than just those funds. So those other portions, if there was a reduction in numbers, those other portions of ACF funds would also decrease by some amount.
That's correct.
Thank you. Representative Terrio?
Well, I absolutely believe that we will lose a small portion. I don't see how that can't happen. So if we can change that bill, so allow $5 or whatever of the new monies to go into the department, or a portion of that money, I mean, that would make up for any loss, and it would make sure that we gain on all ends rather than take a chance of losing anything anywhere.
Would you suggest a part just of the out-of-state funds, not the in-state, correct?
That's correct.
Representative Martin?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. That was exactly my thought. Thank you, Representative Terrio. What we could do, if in fact we move on a positive note in regards to an additional $199 fee increase for non-residents, an appropriate number might be $20 or $25 to IFW for their administrative, situation and all that. It would be great because that's going to create additional work, and it might in fact create a financial impact of the department. So I certainly would strongly recommend that in regards to the non-resident fees, that we further amend the bill and give IFW an extra amount of dollars, and whatever that is, Representative Terrio, I'm good with it.
I agree. I agree. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just think that's the right, if we could get some kind of a gas, I mean, because it's going to be a gas, I would think $10 would take care. I mean, so if you lose 2,000 people, I mean, like what Bill was saying, I mean, that's still $20,000. I mean, that'll certainly take care of any kind of impasse that they might have. So that's my recommendation.
Representative Neto? You're muted.
Yeah. Instead of a certain dollar amount, what about a percentage? If we can take all of the numbers and analyze it and say, okay, so X amount goes to this, everybody gets the little piece of the pie. Instead of doing a certain number, can we assign it a percentage? This way it would always be in line with how many snowmobilers are coming in. And also getting back to the fees, what about the 2 day and 7 days? What are we doing with that? I think that we just ought to do.
Who are we directing that to? Representative Martin?
Yeah. Just the thought may not be.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to fee increase, it's usually always a dollar amount. And I think a percentage was created. In regards to your 7 days or 10 days comment, Representative, that really has nothing to do with non-resident fee increases. But what I was suggesting, and what Representative Terrio was suggesting as well, is that for non-resident fees that we tack on $10, and if we're going to move forward, then I would suggest that Representative Terrio further amend his motion, because his motion was to move forward, ought to pass as amended. But if we're going to give additional monies to IFW, you'd have to modify your motion.
Okay.
Yes. Bill?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Swan?
Yeah, I just wanted to move back, make sure you folks were thinking about, again, the 3 and the 10-day non-resident fees. You do want to think about what you do with those, because if you raise the season one to $199 and you leave those as they currently are, people will just buy multiples of the 3 days. So you need to think about those if you really want to have the impact that you want to have.
Good point. Thank you. Excuse me a minute. Senator Curry, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello.
I see.
Yes, I'm Senator Chip Curry, and I represent SD 11, which is the rural, coastal, and island communities of Waldo County. And I've been able to watch a little bit on the YouTube channel, so I think I've caught up. So
okay, good. Welcome, Representative Terrio.
Yeah, I need those numbers again for what the 3 and 10 days registration are, and I will amend my bill accordingly.
Would you like me to answer that?
Senator Dill, did you?
Yeah, I do have a question. For some reason, as a host, I can't figure out how to raise my hand, but that's okay. Just quickly, since we're going to be looking at possible raising and changing and going back to the department, I do have a question that I'd like to ask of Colonel Scott. And my question would be, you know, we've been talking about what does this do to the department, but all of the finagling we hear, is it going to have any impact on enforcement that he can see? Meaning more or less numbers, does that help? Does that hurt? Does it have any impact at all on enforcement?
So we inspect about 33,000 snowmobiles a year out of, I think, the 85,000 that are typically registered. You know, address over 600 violations. And I think last year I have some numbers someplace here about some crash information. Usually there's around 200 crashes a year. The interesting part of the discussion, the biggest impact it would have on us is it would probably bring our revenue streams a little bit closer to our work efforts. Currently in the Bureau, we spend about an average over the last 5 years, about 6% of our personal services time enforcing snowmobile related
activity, and the current revenues don't really meet where we need to be. So I'm glad to hear Representative Martin's suggestion that some of it come to the department. As far as increased efforts, I don't think it would change that at all as far as increased work on us. I do agree a little bit. I was thinking earlier with what Bill Swan said, that, you know, there's a possibility that if I was going to come here today, I would buy a snowmobile registration. The difference between a 10-day and a resident is only, you know, 20 some dollars. I may buy the resident. If it went up to $199, I may elect to buy the 10-day registration instead. So I do think it's important to look at the 3 and the 10-day registrations as well. The only other comment I'll make, and I don't know if now would be the time to figure that out, but it is a daunting formula that determines the distribution of the snowmobile registration money. It's located in 2 or 3 different places in Title 12, and some of it, mostly the money that goes to DACF, does speak to dollar amounts, $5, $12. Parts that go to IFW do speak to percentages, 18%, 7%. So, you know, we definitely, in order to bring our revenue streams more in line with our expenses under specifically snowmobiles, we would obviously support some of that money going to us. As far as whether it's a dollar amount or a percentage, Representative Martin has much more time in this than I do, obviously. But I don't know if the analysts will have to look at that. It's the current formula is fairly complex, and it may be easiest just for the amendment to come up with a dollar amount. But I don't know if when it actually lands in Title 12, if it'll reflect a percentage of that or not. But yeah, I mean, bringing our expenses more on track with our revenue streams would be a very positive impact for the Bureau of Warden Service and likely the whole department.
Thank you.
Anything else, Senator Dill? No. Bill, do you have any numbers for Representative Terrio to work on? The keys for the short-term permits?
Sure. Right now, the 10-day is 75% of the season. So if you went with that same thing, you'd put the 10-day at 149. And right now, the 3-day is roughly 50%. So if you set that at 99, that would be a good percentage. One other thing that I would recommend, based on what Dan has said, is that if we're going to do what we're talking about doing here, I would recommend that you let probably both IFW and ACF take a look at the current distribution in law, and maybe come back with, once you kind of get the scope of what you want to try to do, let us analyze that current distribution and make sure we understand, so that you can achieve what you really want to achieve when you set this.
Very good. Thank you for your insight. Senator Dill?
Yes, Scott, excuse me, Representative Landry, what I would suggest we may want to do is let Tim make his motion, and then we table this so that we all know what the motion is, and we'll table it and let the department, and then when we come back and bring it off the table, they can come back with workable, see what's workable. So that way everybody knows where we are today. So that would be my suggestion, but that's up to you, Representative Landry.
You've been around this game a lot longer than I have, and it sounds like we've got a lot of numbers and fees going back and forth. Representative Terrio, what do you think about that?
He's taking words out of my mouth, and that's irritating the crap out of me. Because I was like, I'll make the motion and then we can table it and let them work on it. That's exactly what I was going to say. But, and Bill Swan he's reading my mind also, because those are the exact numbers I had. So the amendment would be 199 for the year, 149 for the 10-day, $99 for the 3-day, with $10 of that out-of-state fee going towards the department. That's my recommendation, and I think it's fair.
Very good.
And then we'll
So
table.
that should, and you table it. Any discussion?
You need a second first.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chair, Representative Chair,
Representative Lightfoot.
was that in the form of a motion? You said recommendation.
I'm sorry. Yes, it is. It is a motion. I'm sorry. Yes, that was my
Okay.
motion.
Do we have a second on the motion? Representative Lightfoot?
Yes, I'd second that, Representative Landry.
Yes, thank you. Any discussion? So we need a vote on the motion to table?
That motion hasn't been made yet. He's just moved. I will move the table.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
Mr. Chair,
Representative Martin?
we need to vote on the pending motion. And I think the clerk has to do the roll, and then we can make a motion to table, because we haven't voted on that. We probably should vote on it, see where the consensus is.
Okay.
I would disagree with that, because I would think that we would table it now. Maybe I can ask Rachel, who before we vote on it, I would think we'd table it, because anyway, that's what I would think. But anyway, Rachel, do you have a, sorry, Representative Landry, I will mute myself.
Okay, I do not know the answer to the procedural question that you are asking. I did have one thing to bring up before you move forward in whichever fashion you choose. By raising the fees, you'll have noticed in the original LD that that also changed the amount of money that goes towards the different funds, the capital equipment grant and the snowmobile trail fund. So those numbers would also be impacted by changing the registration fees.
Yes, and that's why we'll have the department look at it. Representative Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't disagree with our Senate Chair. He's probably right on, but another option would be to vote on this today. And when the financial impact statement is achieved, the direction of the committee would be to bring it back to us to take a look at it, and then we could further amend it.
Representative Terrio?
I agree with that. That's the way that would be the process I'd like to see happen right now. We'll put together the numbers, send them out, and we'll vote as a committee, and then whatever comes back, we'll tweak whatever we have to. I think that's the appropriate thing to do.
Okay, so where are we looking for a vote on your motion? Linda?
Yes, I am.
All righty, and just so I'm clear, this is ought to pass as amended. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Starting again with Representative Lyford.
Yes.
Representative Mason.
Yes.
Representative Hepler.
Yes.
Senator Curry.
Yes.
Senator Black.
Yes.
Senator Dill.
Yes.
Representative Landry.
Yes.
Representative Terrio.
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin.
Yes, however, with the proviso that it come back to us once we have the financial impact statement.
Representative Alley. He is still not
You're
quite
muted, Representative Alley?
No, he's not muted. I'm not sure what's happened here. I think he may have lost the connection, but it's still here.
I can see him.
I can see it. Yeah, he's there.
I can see his
Are you
name.
in favor of this? He raised his hand in favor.
He did. I did not see that. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. He's on there twice. My apologies. My apologies. All right. And then Representative Nadeau?
Yes.
And Representative John Martin.
Yes.
All right. So we have 12 in favor of ought not to pass as amended. One absent.
Very good. Thank you, Linda.
Clarification, did you just say 12 in favor of ought not to pass as amended?
Ought to pass as amended.
Okay.
Sorry, ought to pass is amended.
Representative.
I would
Martin?
agree with that. I think she said ought not to pass, so.
Oh, did she?
Yes, so Representative Landry, would you please repeat the motion and the vote?
On LD 280, it was passed in committee 12 to nothing. Ought to pass.
As amended. Ought to pass as amended, Linda.
As amended, correct. Yeah. Anything else before us?
I would just say that when it comes back, we're probably going to have to vote to reconsider, because we're going to have information coming from the department that we may want to add some numbers. So just so we're aware of, since we didn't table it, we voted it in, we will have to vote to reconsider.
Very good. Rachel?
I just want to make sure that I am walking away with the correct information. Ought to pass as amended. We're changing the 3-day fee to $99, the seasonal fee to $199, and the 10-day to $149, all under, of course, non-resident, with $10 from those out-of-state fees going to the department. And that I will bring it back to the committee when we have a fiscal impact statement review.
Very good. Thank you. Representative Hepler, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, I did. I'm actually confused. I thought we were going to table it. I got lost in the procedural movement, but it sounds like we will be reconsidering it, and maybe once we get the numbers back.
Yes.
Yeah, well, if the department comes back, because they said, if I understood them correctly, the wording in one part for ACF was actually dollar figures, but it was percentages for them. So we may have to adjust what we have said to go along with the appropriate statutes. And if we do that, we'll have to reconsider the bill to put it into Representative Terrio's. So we would probably have to reconsider. If it's strictly just a fiscal note and no other changes, then we can just move forward.
Thank you, Senator Dill. Rachel?
And I have the committee's permission to work with ACF and the department, IFW, on this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I get some clarification on something?
Certainly.
All right. In the LD 280, the way it's written on the non-residence fee increase of $20. I think the bill actually is written that $10 of that $20 goes into the trail fund and $10 of it goes into the capital equipment grant fund. But in the initial breakdown that Rachel did, I think it had it as $5 of the non-resident increase going to the capital equipment fund and 15 going into the trail fund. With these proposals, do we look at breaking it down half and half? What direction would you like to have me go with on that?
I may share this. Would you like me to share the screen again so everyone can see the original LD?
Sure.
So that section here. This is the section to which he is referring.
So yeah, it looks like it's $10. The LD 280 is $10 going into, of the $20 increase to non-residents going to each account. And then with the proposals here, do you want me to go just $10 still going into the capital equipment grant fund and the rest going into the trail fund, or still split at 50-50?
My intent is 50-50.
50-50?
50-50 after the $10 is withdrawn for the department.
Okay,
Is that correct, Representative Terrio?
Yes. That's my hope. And actually, I would like to see it not written in stone so that once, you know, if one fund needs more money, they can draw a little bit. I mean, there's times when we need a lot of capital improvements for equipment, and then there's other times that the trails need more. So I don't know if that's possible, but I'd stick with 50-50 right now.
I would
Okay,
think that would be easier to manage.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Any other discussion on LD 280? We beat this one up pretty well. I will close the.
Senator
Curry has his hand up.
Oh, Senator Curry.
Is there any benefit to convey to the public what we've done today by voting to reconsider right now and then tabling it? Because I'm asking that question. Is there any benefit to let people know we're not quite done with this?
Senator Dill, I would ask your advice.
I would say no, because reconsidering it, what are we going to reconsider? There's a lot. I think there's still plenty of moving parts here that when we come back, we're going to have not a completely new bill, but there's going to be a lot of changes to where we just voted on already. We got to add into what Joe Higgins just said about changing the money, the 50-50, the $10. So I would say that no, we just go where we are now, and then when we bring it back, we reconsider what changes we want to do at that point in time.
Thank you, Senator Dill. Any other discussion? Well, we'll close the work session on LD 280. Thank you. Rachel?
If I may speak to Representative Martin's question about the procedural vote for the OTPA regarding fiscal notes, just for clarification, that really is up to the committee to decide. So I think I misspoke on all. On this case, we know from the work that was done last session that there will be a fiscal impact, so that we will have a fiscal note, which is why I really encourage this one. We wouldn't always have to do that if, especially if we could feel pretty certain that there wouldn't be one. So again, it's up to the committee to decide on how they'd like to vote. But in this one case, we knew that there's going to be a fiscal note. So that's why I recommended moving forward with it. I'm sorry if I was confused or made you more confused about that. My apologies.
Thank you. Representative Martin?
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, Rachel, what's great about all of us, we learn something new every day. At least I do. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Very good. Is there anything else to come before the committee? No?
Move we adjourn, Mr. Chair.
We do have, I believe, a presentation from Sarah Demers.
Right.
Ooh.
We have a briefing.
Is she here?
She is. I can bring her in. She's on her way in.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sarah. Welcome.
Thank you all for having me here this morning. This is my third presentation, so there's some familiar faces at this point and some new faces as well. It's wonderful to see you all this morning. I'm here to talk about the Land for Maine's Future program, and I'll be doing a quick presentation on the program and its sort of relevance to your constituents.
Very good.
And I will.
Before you
just want to
start,
make sure I have
before you start, I just
Sure.
want to interrupt. Nothing to do with you, but it was asked that since Representative Alley's here, that we give him the opportunity to vote before we leave on one of the bills. And procedurally,
Absolutely.
actually, you know, I would expect that that's okay since he's here. He may have been here before and just couldn't vote anyway because we couldn't see him.
He
So I think
was here.
Yeah, I think
did
I
see
think he
him.
missed just one. I think, well, yeah, but I think he missed the first vote because we couldn't see him and
Oh,
couldn't
correct.
hear him. So,
He actually,
go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Linda.
I'm sorry. He actually missed 2. He missed 10 and 142.
Okay.
And also Senator Curry, who has joined us, I think would have the opportunity to do the same.
Be happy to do so.
Okay.
If that's all
On,
right with the chairs.
Yes, on LD 10, I would ask Senator Curry, and how do you vote?
As I believe LD 10 was, the motion was ought not to pass, and
That's
I would vote
correct.
yes.
Yes.
And on LD 142, that was ought to pass as amended, and I would vote yes.
Thank you. Representative Alley? Can you unmute?
Yes. How's that?
That's
Very
great.
good. Thank you. And how did you vote on LD 10?
You're muted again, sir.
Yeah, I thought I was doing pretty good. How about now?
We can hear you.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to vote in favor of that.
And on LD 142?
I don't know exactly what 142 was, but somebody give me a
LD
quick
1
reference here.
Missed that one, huh? Let me read it to you here. That was the bear bill. I've got too many papers. I'm looking for the title. Do you have the title?
I can
Linda?
read it for you, yes. An act to give the Commissioner of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife rulemaking authority to establish a bear season framework and bag limits. And the motion was on 142, ought to pass as amended.
Ought to pass, yes. I'll
Okay,
vote yes for that. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dill.
Thank you. Ms. Demers. Welcome
Great.
back.
I'm going to share my screen and run through a quick presentation, and then we'll take any questions that you might have. And if for some reason the screen isn't looking quite right, just let me know. How's that look?
Looks good here.
Okay, very good. So the Land for Maine's Future program. Hopefully it's a program you've heard about before. The program was envisioned in 1986 as a result of the Governor's Special Commission on Outdoor Recreation. The program was actually established in '87 when Maine voters supported a $35 million bond. At that point in time, the bond was used to purchase lands of statewide significance. So that means that only the state was able to acquire and hold lands. That has now changed. Municipalities, land trusts, and others may now apply and purchase land with funding. Another component of the bond was to ensure public access to diverse outdoor recreation opportunities and to protect scenic and natural environment. You can see hopefully on your screen, I've put up a couple of properties that were have been acquired by the department over the years. If you haven't had a chance to visit Jamie's Pond right outside of Augusta and Hallowell, Kennebunk Plains at the bottom, and I believe this middle one is a property in Cobscook Bay. So the program is located within the Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry. We have a director, myself, with 2 staff. A governor appointed board, which includes Commissioner Camuso, as well as the Commissioner of DMR and DACF, and 6 public members. We just had 3 members appointed to that board this session. Some of the program accomplishments include projects in all 16 counties, 62 water access sites. We have contributed funding to 25 wildlife management areas owned and managed by the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, as well as corridors for multi-use trails, and a total of 617,000 acres, which includes just about half and half working lands. So those would be working forest easements and farmland easements and fee-owned properties. We also fund projects for working farms and commercial working waterfront properties. How does the program work? The Land for Maine's Future program is a competitive grant program. We publish guidelines outlining the requirements, and some of those requirements include willing sellers only. We do require appraisals for our awards. Public access is required almost exclusively, except for working waterfront properties and farmland properties. Hunting, fishing, and trapping cannot be prohibited on properties acquired with LMF land. And we do have the requirement in statute that municipal approval is required when the property represents more than 1% of a municipality's valuation. In the instance of the LUPC jurisdiction, the county provides that approval. And I would say that that law is triggered more often in the LUPC jurisdiction than in an organized area. The program maintains a rigorous due diligence process intended to protect the state's investment, and all of our conservation priorities are publicly derived. We're currently going through a process right now. Hopefully some of you will have the opportunity to participate in looking at what our conservation priorities have been over the past 25 years and maybe what they should be moving forward. The Land for Maine's Future program supports Maine's economy by investing in opportunities for outdoor recreation, hunting, fishing, marine fishing and aquaculture, agriculture, and forest products. Typically, we are generating approximately $3 of private matching funds for every $1 of LMF bond contribution. The pictures here are from one of our favorite projects, the Cold Stream Project, which was completed several years ago and then protected important deer wintering habitat as well as brook trout habitat. In terms of the future, what we're looking at right now and planning for is climate change. How will the Land for Maine's Future program be a strong partner in addressing climate change? We're looking at as I mentioned, review of our accomplishments and an opportunity to redefine our priorities. We're incorporating recommendations made by the Conservation Task Force, which undertook work in 2019 and I believe early 2020. And we've just convened a subcommittee that provided recommendations to the board on changes to program policy and practices to help improve and streamline the program. So things are moving forward and very busy with us here at LMF. We're in the process of wrapping up several of our working waterfront projects and continuing to take a handful of water access projects as well. And that's what I've got for you today. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Anyone have any questions for Representative Danny Martin? You're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sarah, do we know what the level of funding in the next bond issue is in regards to LMF? And I just want to say that this is a great program. In the Baldacci administration, I had an opportunity to serve on that for 8 years, and it's really worthwhile. And when the bond funding goes to the voters, it's usually passed by an overwhelming majority. So I just want to share with you or ask you what the level of funding is in the next go around, if you know.
There are several bond bills out there that the legislature will get to vote on. That process is always evolving, and I haven't seen any final package at this point.
Representative Lyford.
Thank you, Representative Landry. I was concerned with going into the towns and purchasing this land and a little more explanation about, I mean, do you consult with town managers you said if it's over 1%, maybe you could explain that just a little for me, please?
Sure. Yep. So I'm going to step through a couple of different things we do in communicating with municipalities. I would say that off the top of my head, and I could get this number for you if it's helpful, approximately 20% of our applications actually come directly from municipalities. So we most recently closed on a project that was brought to us by the town of Lubec for a water access project in town that'll be used for both commercial and recreational purposes. So that's one component of it. Towns are eligible to apply and do apply. The next component is that as part of our application process, we do require applicants to demonstrate community and economic contribution of the project. And in that instance, we're looking for letters of support from the community, from the town. We're looking for business support. We're looking for just a broad-based recognition from the community that this project will provide some kind of community or economic benefit to the community. And then sort of the next layer is, as you mentioned, the 1% valuation. When we have a project that comes in that is anticipated to meet or exceed 1% of that town's valuation, and that number comes from Maine Revenue Service, we will reach out to the municipality, or in the case of a UPC jurisdiction, to the county commissioners to let them know that we've received this proposal. They don't have sort of decision-making authority under statute to approve or disapprove the project, but they do certainly have the opportunity to participate in public comment and provide, their perspective on what this might do or what kind of impact it might have on the county or the municipality.
Thank you.
Yep.
Representative Hepler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm actually sort of related to the municipal question that Representative Lightford asked. I want the earlier slide says that 95% of the land conserved remains on the tax rolls. How does that work?
Sure. So that is a statistic that's provided by the Maine Land Trust Network, and I can follow up after this. This is a question that was asked in another committee, so I'm happy to forward information where that number came from. But how that works is that when a property is acquired by a land trust, so we know that when a property is acquired by a municipality or the state, that land is tax exempt. So we're really talking about land acquired by a land trust or another nonprofit. They are private landowners. Despite their nonprofit status, they are a private landowner, and they can choose under state law to enroll their land in farmland or open space or tree growth tax programs. Or they can choose to make a payment in lieu of taxes, or they can just choose to pay the tax bill fully. So there's a suite of choices available to them. And their assertion is that 95% of the land base that they own stays on the tax roll. And again, I can provide you a copy of that report.
So I just have a clarification. So that means that they stay on the tax rolls, but they also enroll in open space and all those things. Is that right?
They have that option.
Okay.
Yes. My experience is every land trust kind of handles it differently. I know some land trusts pay the services portion of their tax bill, but not the school portion. So there's many permutations of choices of how a nonprofit might choose to pay that tax bill.
Great, thanks. I love the program, by the way. It's just a clarifying question.
Absolutely, that's what I'm here for, is to answer those questions.
Very good. Representative Lightford.
Thank you, Representative Larry. That raises a kind of a question for me. Do you actually, if you acquire the property and the owners prefer to continue paying taxes, do you have properties like that?
So let me clarify. The Land for Maine's Future program is a funding source. We do not acquire the property. When I say the state, it could be the Bureau of Parks and Lands, it could be the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, And there are some permutations with DMR. They acquire a covenant on the working waterfront properties, and Bureau of Agriculture works primarily with ag easements. So we aren't acquiring the property, and when the state or a municipality, those are tax exempt. It's really when a land trust is acquiring the property, they make the decision on what what formula they're going to choose or what program they might enroll in. The Land for Maine's Future program does not require any particular enrollment of a special use taxation program or anything like that.
Understand, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Sarah? So, thank you very much. That was very informative. Gave me some points that I didn't realize.
Great.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else to come before the committee? Do I see a motion to adjourn?
So move.
By Representative Lightfoot, second. Senator Curry. Thank you very much.